Welcome in, Bleav in Commanders podcast. Scott Jackson and Anthony Armstrong. We are part of the Bleav Network, and we are brought to you by FanDuel. We sit here, Anthony, on the just almost there for the 250 celebration with the 4th of July, and of course, USA Soccer continuing to play in World Cup action with a gritty 2-0 win last night over Bosnia-Herzegovina. What a game! And could you imagine being an NFL player and playing one player short?
Oh my gosh.
For that long of a period of time?
You know, honestly, you find ways to mix up the game a little bit. Now that would be something, right? Like if you have a personal foul, y'all are down a player. You have to play down 10 for the rest of that series or that drive or something like that.
Right.
But then also I could imagine somebody like Frankie Louvu running out like Ultimate Warrior whenever his time is up mid-play, right? And he's flying over the top trying to make a tackle. That would be something to consider. So Roger Goodell Rules Committee, we'll table this next year. Glad to see you, Scott. Man, that was a hell of a game last night. Like it was. I had seen the Belgium game and Senegal game prior to that, and Belgium was down 2-0 in the 85th minute. They ended up scoring 2 goals. So whenever USA was up 2-0, I stood my butt in the same place until the clocks hit 00. The ref waved it off, and it was a great win for USA.
Well, it was 3 great games yesterday. Really, it felt terrible for Congo DR because I thought their goalie played an incredible game and really did a great job on England. And England's obviously a force, but Congo missed a shot early in that game. Probably should have been 2-0. Going into the half, and it wasn't. And, England has hung around, and obviously Harry Kane, you see why the English fans love him so much with the 2 goals, and the last one was an absurd shot. And now that's a great matchup. They've got to play Mexico, which is not a gimme in Mexico, which is going to be very interesting. And Team USA obviously has got Belgium, who, as you said, just kind of stole one yesterday over Senegal. So it should be good. But, Team USA has been a lot of fun to watch. I hate the fact that that red card was called. First of all, I don't think it was a penalty that should have been read at all. It was just a soccer player. It wasn't like any type of intent to hurt kind of thing. So that stinks. And then to lose your player for the next game is awful. But
yeah, buddy, are they down? Are they 10 the next one, or is he?
No, they're 11. But he's out. Valerian's out. Which sucks.
That stuff. So that is on FanDuel. If y'all want those,
if you want to bet on it,
you have all the games over there. So Spain, Austria, Portugal, Croatia, you name it. The ones that Scott named and more, they're over there on FanDuel. So go check them out.
And of course, USA on Monday. All right, we are again Bleav in Commanders, part of the Bleav Network, brought to you by FanDuel. As you just heard, comment, like, follow us, please. We got a lot to get to here before the 4th. I saw some kind of fireworks type of story the other day on CBS Sports that had Dan Quinn in this top 5 list of hot seat coaches to start the season, right? So they started off with, Aaron Glenn. If you're the Jets coach, you're always going to be on this list, I swear. I mean, in my lifetime, I think every Jets.
Hired.
I know, it's ridiculous. Right? Apparently, there's already friction between him and the GM, but whatever. They had no talent last year. Now, this year, look, they've put a little bit more into it. We'll see. Gino gets his act together, how they do, but they had a really good draft. But I don't know. It seems kind of crazy in year 2. You're already on the hot seat. The other coach is Todd Bowles, who's, he's been around 500 as the coach of the Bucks last year. They had a fast start, terrible finish. They don't win a lot of playoff games usually. So I kind of doesn't surprise me. Shane Steichen, who is, kind of been middling as well with the Colts, is 3. 4 is Zach Taylor, which is actually kind of a big story in the sense that the Bengals rarely want to pay anybody, right? Not to work. Like they'll make you work forever, even if it's not working just because they're so cheap. But there is an urgency there, right? Because of Joe Burrow. Like, hey, I get it. He got paid a few years ago, but at some point he could be one of these guys who goes, hey, get me the hell out of here. I can't win here, and then that would be the worst possible scenario for the Bengals. Then you lose, your entire fan base. So that didn't surprise me. But seeing Quinn at 5 was interesting. And I get it. They had a terrible year last year. He's replaced 2 coordinators. Obviously 2 guys who have never done this at the NFL level. So that's interesting too, but that would seem fast, and I get it. It's hard to compare what we don't really, we still don't have a file on Josh Harris, the NFL owner, compared to, how he does it in the NBA or the NHL or, how NFL teams run it. But I mean, there's been certainly worse coaching that's been around here that has gotten more time. But, I don't know. I mean, that seems, it would have to me be like last year, right? Or maybe worse than last year. I think there's a world where this team improves. It looks good in a lot of areas, but still is not in the playoffs. I mean, I think there is a world, sadly, where that could happen. Do you think it would, benefit them to have a winning record? I don't know. Where do you feel like the temperature gets turned up on Dan Quinn if it does in your mind at all?
I think hot seat would be, just kind of a blanket term. I mean, him sitting at 5, just kind of let you know, maybe it's on like, a little bit closer to medium. Maybe, if there's a complete
Medium
collapse,
burner?
and maybe not even that high, just, a little light simmer. I could see that, just simply because, the owners generally turn to the pages, after year 3. But
Yeah.
I feel like Josh Harris and the whole crew up there, Adam Peters included, they have a better understanding of just what last year was. It was injuries. There was a lot of play that DQ was very upfront about that wasn't up to the standard. But then he also went back and then fixed it, or I say has taken steps to fix it. He's done some things to change what had happened in the past so that they can be have different results in the future. And I wouldn't put him on the hot seat. The only reason he's warm, I think, is you consider last year, what was it, 7, 8, 9 positions were changed. Yeah. So there's not a lot of head coaches to really, all the bad ones, I say bad ones, quote unquote, but all the ones that got fired, you can't even, up there, McDermott got fired, and then you can't say he was a bad head coach, but all of the jobs that changed, they got to pick somebody, right? Yeah. So I don't think DQ is necessarily in a bad spot. I think that if anything, it'd be a 2-year thing, right? Maybe next year. So you see what the team looks like this year. There is one side to consider that, new coordinators, young coordinators, unproven, all those things. But I feel like DQ is the coach that's in the position, in the way that he leads. He is an empowering person, right? He's always gotten the best out of his players. He's giving his coaches the ability to go and get the best out of them, right? He's asking them to teach it, and I can see how this could be something that could be an extreme. It could be a booming situation, or I mean, as you could say, it could also be a bust if if they get in there and they're not up to snuff, right? But that's him rolling the dice on it. And the thing I love the most about it is that he is responsible for their development as coordinators. He's going to be responsible for the people, right? The person on the field and the players, and getting them up to snuff. So. Is he on the hot seat? No, probably more, like I said, low simmer. But if they don't show up and look better this year than they did last year, then the conversations are going to definitely pick up.
Well, here's one thing I'd say to his credit. Last year, as terrible as it was with the season, as it just went out of control with the injuries, you didn't have guys pointing fingers at each other. You didn't have staff, stuff leaking out. I mean, it was people still believed in him, and guys that come in really, really gravitate towards him and what he's got to say, right? And what he's about in terms of his leadership. Again, we've heard a lot about since after he got fired, in Atlanta, where he did this whole 360 thing, right? Where, he wanted to find out all the good, bad, and ugly about what people thought about coaching, his coaching style and what he did and stuff and what he took from there. So, I think, sure, is there always a scenario where it could go off the rails and, somebody's going to pay the price? But I don't think the roster build's done by any means. If you're Adam Peters, I think you also have to be certainly cognizant of that when you're making these kind of decisions. And Josh Harris, I think they've all been pretty straight on, they still got a ways to go. I mean, this was not a good roster they got, right? I think we understand that they did a lot of patchwork that first year and a lot of things hit. They nailed it in a lot of areas, and you could say got lucky in some regards too, right? Because I think that's fair. We went on a Hail Mary. That's getting lucky, right? I mean, one of your games, and the schedule certainly helped. But last year was the opposite, right? Like all the breaks you got the year before went the absolute other direction. And we always talk about the Chicago game where it felt like that's when karma just left the building and jumped on the plane back to Chicago. I mean, with the Bears for their season. So I just think, there's a lot of things you got to look at. He's more than just the head coach too, right? I think he's the real, like, he's the big voice of that organization. I mean, Adam Peters doesn't say anything during the season. He does his year-end thing, does the draft stuff. He kind of steps back. He lets DQ be the face of all of it, right? And same with Josh Harris, who's not a real verbose kind of guy. So, I mean, and I think they like the messaging, and I think the players love it. And I think it's a lot of it's connected with the fan base too. I think there's more than just a guy who's just, hey, I'm the head coach, and I'm going to, decide if we go on fourth down. There's much more to it. This guy's put a lot more into it. As you mentioned, a real developer of staff and guy believer, right? Like allows people, and as we joked around, they use this word a lot, but very collaborative, right? As well. So I think that collaboration part of it too is, he probably didn't make these decisions in a vacuum as to who these two coordinators are going to be. I'm sure there was a lot of input from everyone here, but ultimately it's on his resume because he's the head coach. So I just think it would have to be a really, really awful, like last year, maybe worse type of season for that to happen.
Or you got to cuss somebody out, man. You just got to snap.
Yeah, right.
He has cussed before, so maybe that ain't.
He's got some colorful language. We've had that in the post game on the radio sometimes. We've had it on the radio sometimes. It's interesting.
You love his energy, man. DQ. I just love how he's approached. I've been intrigued with his hire since he's come in.
Yeah.
Right, because you think about it, the decades. Not even just say years, the decades of just horrible football and bad organization, just overall bad organization. And I would listen to the fans, and you could tell that like they had that taste in their mouth, and it was just always a negative tone. And then now it's starting to turn the tide. Last year, tried to go back to the old school where it's like, see, we were not good, but you're turning the tide now, and I think DQ is a big part of that. Right, I've said it before. Adam Peters is handling the personnel. DQ handles the person. He handles the person on the field. He handles the person as a coach. And that's something to consider. Like, I've always wondered, like, why don't team owners take into consideration the overall culture and how long some of those things can build and they can carry over, right? Like, if you look at storied organizations, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, I always give them, Kansas City, they operate in a certain standard, right? There's a certain way that they do things. And I think that it aligns with having continual success. So maybe the thing to do is to not go follow what the posts say and say that he's on the top 5 list. And maybe you look and see how the organization is run, how people are really growing and developing inside to decide what to do with Dan Quinn for the future. Because, hey, you want to get W's, but I also want to have some good people in the building.
So, first of all, Bleav in Commanders brought to you by FanDuel and, of course, part of the Bleav Network. Please like, comment, and follow Scott Jackson, former Redskin Anthony Armstrong over there as well. Give us a follow on the X at Jackson Sports and at Rated Armstrong for Anthony. But, I guess, so let's say the David Blau thing's a disaster, right? And Jada Daniels has a setback. Okay, then then you're like, oh crap, who made that decision? Like that's the kind of thing that could get you fired, right? Because you don't want your franchise quarterback in year 3 looking like he's going the other way. So I mean, that certainly is something. I think by what they did this offseason, I don't want to say it bought him some time, but usually you don't switch both coordinators and say you got to have it this year, right? I mean, it happens sometimes. I mean, some teams do nail it in year 1. But you got to understand there's got to be a little bit of a build here, right? To really truly, see what you have. So I think that would, probably served him well too, that they said, okay, you're going to make these coordinator changes. It's up to you. You got time here, which, which to me would think that he's got at least a couple more seasons. If they keep losing, he's okay. But, again, nobody wants to think that way. They want to think they're going to be, 13-4 or whatever again. And, you hope that's the case. You hope they flip it the other way.
Yeah, I would love for them to get into the double-digit win category. But, I'm not going to sit here and be happy and giving pats on the back if they go 5-12. I'm not going to do that and be like, oh, they tried hard. Like,
no, you got to win.
This is a production-based business, 100%. And you have to put W's. You have to win. You have to look good. But you just think the way that they retooled everything, the way that they restocked the pantry, the way that they reloaded, in the munitions and everything that they needed, they're going to roll into this thing, I think, in a much better position than they finished. And it's a lot to be excited for. But you know what, though? I think it was probably more necessary to make the changes rather than trying to fix whatever was going on.
Be stubborn, right? Be stubborn about it. Like, Joe Witt's my guy. It's my defense. We're going to keep doing this, even though we know it's not working. For even the year they won, they weren't. Defense was shaky at times. The offense was fantastic. So that's a good point. I mean, because there's something to be said too about the leadership to say, even if you Bleav the stories that he really didn't want to make the Kingsbury move, but he realized they had to do it. Right? It wasn't like something he really was excited, not that you're excited to fire anybody, you know what I'm saying, but it was really like, we have to do this. It was a tough decision for him, but he thought for the betterment of this group to do it. And look, we'll decide if the David Blau thing was was genius or not. But if it hits, he's going to look really good. I mean, if that hits, he's going to look really good for a guy who literally was last year at this time the assistant quarterbacks coach, and then of course on the other side going Daronte Jones, that's out of his wheelhouse of defense, right? Like the Brian Flores system. It's not the same thing as what Dan Quinn ran so successfully in Dallas. I mean, it's certainly there's some things that everybody's the same about defensively, but it was out of his like coaching tree too, which I appreciated. Because a lot of times it's like everybody's like, oh, Al Harris is going to be the guy if they go assistant, because he worked with Dan, or it's this guy that worked with Dan, or this guy because Adam Peters knew him in San Francisco. No, I mean they went Daronte Jones because he looks like the next up and coming dude, and he was on one of the toughest defenses to deal with. No matter how bad their offense was, that Vikings defense is hell, man.
Yeah. And then, frankly, there's also another little path that's probably got a little overgrown, and you can't tell right now, but if you like what you're getting from a David Blough or Daronte Jones, you could keep them suckers in the house, right? You could say, hey, let's move y'all up to keep you here, because you see the way the league is going, right? Young offensive minds are being head coaches. And I know that there's going to be a point where those younger defensive minds that have shown that they can stop those offenses are going to get some head coaching gigs here too. So it's cool to have both of those guys here in Washington. And frankly, you talk about offensive explosion. Week 1 is on FanDuel. 47.5 is the over-under. So let's see some offensive explosion from the Washington side of things. Hold up a heavy chunk of that. That's what. By
the way, both teams with new offensive coordinators who have never been NFL play callers. Sean Mannion, obviously in Philly, he's very inexperienced, much like David Blough. So it's an interesting route both of them went. Of course, Philly. Lost one of their top defensive guys. Jeff Scott, of course, is now the Cowboys, DC. So everybody in the division has somebody, and obviously the Giants have 2 brand new guys because it's all new with them. But, everybody in the division has something. Everybody's like, that was an interesting hire. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one of those. The Commanders may have 2 of them, but we'll see. I kind of think that, to me, the Daronte Jones one, I think I'm not really worried as much, because I think you have a baseline. And again, he was a college DC as well, and a lot more experience. But look, Blough, no question, I'm sure he can draw it up and what have you. But as you've been in those rooms, being able to deal with a lot of ego and a lot of things going on when the bullets are flying in the middle of a game, and everybody's in your ear telling you what you need to do and what the play works and who's open and all that kind of stuff. Can he kind of just shut the noise out and be true to what he knows is going to work from watching all week and getting ready?
Yeah. I think that's the big thing about him already being in the building, right? They already know him, rather than you trying to sway somebody who's come from the outside. So I think that is a great thing to consider with Daronte. Him, what he's going to bring, or what he could bring, is just like, you want it to be aggressive, like Brian Flores. But I love the way that he teaches. You can hear it from how his players are exuding that information, and that just lets me know that they're smart guys. And the more that everybody talks the same language, from a defensive lineman to a linebacker to a safety, and they're all talking about the same play, that really gives you a lot of flexibility. So I think that makes it exciting and collaborative for players. And then I said collaborative on the offensive side.
I like that. You went collaborative.
That's how David Blough gets buy-in, is because he takes feedback and he takes suggestions from the players. So Scott, like if we would run a trick play, like you beg and beg and beg, coach, put this in. And then he'd run it in practice. And if there was any bit of that trick play that messed up, it could be the snap, it could be the handoff, it could be the fact that the quarterback overthrew it. The coach may be like, I don't like it, I don't trust it, I'm throwing it out. So anything that a player suggests, they're going to take more ownership in. Therefore, they're going to have much better execution. And so I think the marriage can be really good, right? You see a lot of younger offensive coordinators that are in touch with their players, and then they have a lot of fun on offense. So I think this could work, man. It's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. But you are right. When the heat is on and it is late in the game, and I'm thankful that you have a Terry McLaurin, who is not a guy who's like, give me the ball.
Right. Give me the damn ball.
Yeah, he's not that guy. He's that guy. He is him, but he's not that guy. You understand what I'm saying? So I love the fact that you hopefully you're not going to have to deal with 17 in your OC's ear trying to get the rock a few more times.
We are Bleav in Commanders, brought to you by FanDuel, part of the Bleav Network. Of course, please like, comment, and follow us. One of the lists that came out this week that was on the positive side for the Commanders, Ben Solak put out some bold predictions for the 2026 season, and his rookie of the year, Anthony, is not only a Commander, but he is the Commanders' wide receiver, Antonio Williams.
Hello.
That is his bold prediction for rookie of the 71st overall pick. Solak wrote, who? Williams. He was the 71st pick in 2026 draft, the 9th receiver off the board. Although receivers have recently won this award more frequently, we haven't seen late drafted players break into the ranks. Even Puka Nacua at 105 receptions, 1,486 yards weren't enough to beat out C.J. Stroud's rookie season in 2023. The latest rookie to win a wide receiver or rookie of the year award as a receiver was Anquan Boldin. I can't believe Anquan Boldin, by the way, was 2003. That's hard to believe. He was the 54th pick and was a unanimous selection. That makes me feel old as hell.
I remember that guy there was a baller, man. He would take hits over the middle, and then he could throw that thing too, man. Wow.
So his Bleav in Williams, his Bleav in Williams is he has the opportunity that stacks up against many of the early drafted contemporaries. They were picked before the other receivers. He said there's hardly any competition to Commanders receivers behind Terry McLaurin right now. So Williams will catch passes from Jaden Daniels, a remarkable better quarterback than the players such as Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston and Amar Cooper Jr., who their quarterbacks are. So he also goes on to say Williams still needs to dodge an addition, perhaps late summer edition of a Brandon Ayuk or Stephon Diggs, but the path to high quality targets is shockingly clear for the third round pick. Williams is also handing a glove fit for the Detroit-inspired David Blau offense, which is a very valid point. Williams is an easy glider, makes fearless catches over the middle of the field, dramatically improved his drop rate at Clemson in 2025, has the knack for quarterback friendliness and smart routes, ball adjustment, good bad balls, and obviously the versatility and the yak ability. He's, again, we've heard this from the day he was drafted, Amon-Ra St. Brown, type. So anyway, that was the notes and butts of nuts and bolts. My God, of what Ben Solak was saying. Yeah, I know. I was bolting and nutting. Anyway, so hey, look, that would be great. Needless to say, that would be awesome. I mean, if you had that kind of year.
I think that's a very bold take, but
it's a very bold take, and he's trying to be bold. He's trying to be bold. I get it.
I'm with it, but let's flesh it out. I could see it being something because 17 is going to get his attention. Chig is going to get some mismatches, but then I think there's going to be a lot of spots where Antonio Williams is going to be the target on a third down. On the fringe, they're going to give him a quick screen, and he can actually take it to the house from 25 yards out. So. He is somebody that's going to quickly become a friend of that quarterback, and his name will come up a lot on the stat sheet. Terry's still going to eat, but I wouldn't be surprised if Antonio goes and have a day. Now him making it all the way to rookie of the year, that's going to be really interesting to see. But I'm not mad at it. I as hell would be glad to raise that trophy and applaud him in that regard.
Listen, if he is the Jamison Crowder rookie season and isn't rookie of the year, I think he'd be really happy with year one, right? We've talked about that in the past just because of how the distribution may go and obviously the need for them and the emphasis there will be on running the football too. So anyway, I like it. I like the boldness of that prediction, and we'll hopefully see it start coming to fruition here in about a month. I think yesterday was it was 30 days away countdown from the start of training camp, believe it or not, for all the teams being in. So pretty exciting stuff. By the way, I got some late breaking DC sports news that just dropped. The grade 8 Alex Ovechkin coming back for one more year with the Capitals.
Nice.
There's been a lot of noise lately because the Capitals have been one of the most active teams in the NHL offseason, trading, signing, and people are starting to wonder if there's any room for OV on the roster. Was there any money left? And the answer is yes.
Yeah,
so he's back. I'm happy to see that.
One of those guys that I feel like it's just one of those legendary players that you respect their decision and you make space up for them whenever they want to come back. It sure would be tough to say no to the OV, but I get to wear my OV jersey one more year.
There you go. We can wear it afterwards too.
That
you look like a legend. People still wear those West Unseld Bullets jerseys too. Those are great.
There you go.
I think we're done. Unless you got anything else?
Nah, man. Let's get it out of here.
Happy safe fourth. Again, don't hold the fireworks. Okay.
Yeah, if you're going in with 10, come out with 10. You feel what I'm saying? 10. And and respectfully, if you're going in with any number less than, come back with that same number.
Right, exactly. Digits. Just make sure you have the same numbers of digits. I agree with you. All right, for that man right there, number 13, Anthony Armstrong, Scott Jackson. We are Bleav in Commanders, part of the Bleav Network. And we're brought to you by FanDuel. Everybody have a happy and safe 4th of July. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya.